Hi friends, welcome back to my quilt room. And if you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. We're getting down to the wire with Christmas. We have about 13, 14 days left. Are you looking for some stocking stuffers that you can whip up in no time at all? Something different other than the candy and gum and things we put in? Well, I have some little projects for you today. The first one is a little tissue holder with a lobster claw clasp. You can stick to your bags, or this would be great for kids on their to put on their backpacks if they're in sports. Great thing to hang on their duffel bags. Second one is a gift card holder, and this is cute. I put a little snap on mine, and it's got and it's lined also. And this is great for gift cards. You don't have to put a snap on it. You can put some Velcro on it. These make cute little gifts if you work in an office, giving out little gift cards to your coworkers. Cute little presentation. We also have a little chapstick holder. Again, hang it on the kids' backpacks, put it on your pocketbook. It's got the lobster claw clasp here, and it fits your little chapstick. And I have two variations of pen holders with elastic. So these can go around your books. So the first one is just a pouch that you could put your pens in, and it holds a couple different pens, a highlighter. And this one is a zipper one. Again, you can put a couple pens and a highlighter in this, and then your pens don't fall out. And that also has the elastic, and you just wrap these around your book. And I'll show you what that looks like. Throw it on your book like that. And again, this can hold a couple different pens and a highlighter. So I hope you'll stay with me. This might be a little longer video than normal, but I'm going to show you how to make all of these. Okay, so for our little tissue holder, we're going to need a main fabric, which is 6 across and 7 down. We'll need a lining fabric, which is 6 across and 8.5 down. We'll also need a piece of lightweight interfacing, which is going to be 5.5 by 8. We'll also need a small piece for our tab, and I did this one at 2 by 3. And then we'll need our swivel clip. And this is optional. You don't have to put one of these on, but I'm going to show you in case you want to. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our interfacing, and we're going to lay that. Now the interfacing has a bumpy side, which is the glue side, and then a smooth side. So we're going to lay that down so that it's about 1/4 inch all around. So just center it the best you can. And then we're going to iron that down. So I'm going to grab my little pad here. And this pad has a polyester and aluminum inside, so it doesn't go through. And I'm not going to iron this. I'm just going to press this just until the glue adheres. And then you can move it around after that. So that's good and adhered. And my cutting mat is still cold. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our main fabric, and we're going to put this right sides together, and we're going to sew along that 6-inch top piece. And then we're going to turn it, and we're going to take this 6-inch piece, and we're going to sew it to the bottom like that. And you can do this all at one time. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew this 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have that sewn down on both sides. And what we're going to do now is we're going to turn that out, right side out. And we're going to center that main fabric within our lining. So it's going to look like this. And I'm just going to make sure that my seams are laying flat. And I'm going to iron this. Okay. So that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so now what we want to do is create our tab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half and I'm going to iron that down. Then I'm going to take my sides and I'm going to fold them into the middle. Each side going into the middle. And I'm going to leave a space, just a ever so slight space in there so that when I fold this over, it's not going to bend my fabric inside. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to top stitch on each side. And I'll be right back when I do that. Okay, so I top stitched that down. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put that on my swivel clip. And this is probably a little longer than we need. So I'm just going to cut that down when we put it together. And I'm just going to clip that. So now what we want to do is we want to take this and fold it in half. And I'm going to get my center point. Okay. And then I'm going to take one side, bring it to the center. And then I'm going to take my other side and I'm going to bring that to the center, but I'm going to overlap about 1/8 of an inch. And you can just sort of peel that back and see where you are. So that looks good to me. And then I'm going to grab some clips. And I'm going to hold that down for right now because we're going to put our tab in next. And I'm going to check my other side, make sure I have the same amount of overlap there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to take my tab and I'm going to slide that into the middle and line that up with my top. And you can evaluate how much you want your tab to be. If you want that whole thing, then just bring it down. If you want it to be a little less, I'm probably going to go right about there. Yeah. So I'm just going to cut this down a little bit so it's not in my way. It's going to leave a little overhang just so I can catch it all. And then I'm going to clip that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch on both sides. And I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, so now we have that all sewn down on both sides. We have our tab with our swivel clip inside here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my pinking shears and I'm just going to trim that edge because I'm not going to finish my edges on the inside. So this will help to keep it from fraying just a little bit. Okay, so just a small amount. So now what we want to do is I found that boxing the corners makes the tissues fit in here much nicer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our corners and we're going to line up our edge here with our edge here. So I just usually eyeball it like that. And what I want to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm just going to measure up about a half an inch. So I'm measuring up to where from this edge to that edge equals a half an inch. And I'm going to grab my pen and put my ruler on there. And right there, from this corner to that corner, measures a half an inch. So then I'm going to just take my pen and I'm going to mark that. And then I'm going to take a clip because I don't want this to move while I do the other ones. And I'm just going to clip it right there. So now I'm going to do that with the rest of my corners. So I'll show you again. I'll do this side. I'm going to take this edge here and line that up with my edge here, almost like with my seam allowance. I'll lay that down, put my ruler on it, measure a half an inch from end to end, and draw a line. Grab a clip and clip it. So I'm going to do that with these two, and then I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm just going to sew straight across. And I'm probably going to backstitch. The other thing I wanted to tell you was when I sewed these, I backstitched at the edges and directly in the middle because I want to make sure that I have enough stability when you are pulling your tissues, your new packages in and out. So I'm going to do all this and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we have all our corners boxed. Look how cute they are, tiny little corners. And now, the moment we've been waiting for, I'm going to turn this right side out. Popping out those corners. And I made sure I backstitched those across there too, just to give that some stability also. And there we have it. So cute. And there it is. So let me grab some tissues and we're going to put them inside. And I'm just going to leave this closed for now, but whoever you give it to, or if you're making it for yourself, you can pop that open. And there we have it. How cute is that? And it's just enough room to get that tissue out without it ripping. Adorable. So there is our little tissue holder. I think that would make a cute little stocking stuffer. Okay, so for our next stocking stuffer, we are going to do this little pencil pouch with an elastic. Now, I didn't have a 1/2 inch elastic, which is what I wanted to use. I only had a 2-inch. So to make my sample, I just cut it in half and used a 1-inch. But I think it's kind of thick, so I'm going to use this 1/2 inch. So what we're going to need is, we're going to need one 3-inch by 12-inch piece of fabric, and then two 3-inch by 8-inch pieces of fabric. Then we're going to need a piece of interfacing that is 2.5 by 7.5, so that it's going to fit like our other one. We're going to lay this face side down. We're going to take our interfacing. We're going to lay the bumpy side down because that's the glue side, and we're going to center that. And then we're going to iron that. And just center that the best you can. Doesn't have to be exact, but I'm going to try to get at least a 1/4 inch all the way around. And then I'm just going to press that. And then we're going to make sure that that is adhered. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our 12-inch piece, we're going to fold that in half with right sides out. I'm just going to press that. So we're going to take one of our shorter pieces and we're going to put that face side up. We're going to take our 12-inch that we folded in half with raw sides, raw edges. We're going to line that up at the bottom of our one piece. And now what we want to do is we want to take our elastic and we want to put it inside the middle of here of our pouch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my elastic, put it in the middle. I'm going to clip it here. And then I'm going to take the bottom, find the middle, clip it there. So now we have this big loop here. So what we want to do is we want to try to get that out of the way. And you can put a pin in this, but what I found was to just take a piece of tape and just tape it down. I'm going to put it at an angle so I don't want to catch that in my seam allowance. It's just like that. And it holds it there and it comes right off. Doesn't interfere with anything. Then we're going to take our other 3x8, and we're going to lay that right sides together. And reclip that at the top and at the bottom, making sure our elastic stays where it's supposed to. And now what we want to do is we want to take it to the sewing machine and grab a few more clips. And we want to sew all the way around, leaving about a 2 or 3 inch opening. Now you can clip it down, which is what I'm going to do, just so I know that nothing is going to move when I'm sewing this. And I'm going to just mark about 3 inches, I'd say, I'll leave for an opening. Then I'm going to clip my other sides and put as many clips as you wish. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to back stitch, go all the way around, 1/4 inch all the way around. I'm going to end here where I marked it, back stitch, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I have that all sewn down. I stopped and started here and back stitched, went all the way around to my next stop and back stitched. I also back stitched over my elastic just to give that a little more stability also. So now what I want to do is I want to clip my corners. Making sure you don't clip your stitching. And you can also take a little off and use your pinking shears. I'm just going to leave mine for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this right side out where the elastic is. And there's my tape. So that held nicely. Just going to get all those corners out. I'm going to grab my tool here, make it a little easier. Pop that corner out. Okay. Okay. I'm going to flip my elastic to the back. Here's my little pocket. And then I'm going to iron this down and fold that in. So just want to make sure that my seams are all the way out. Throw that tape away. So if you have to roll it just to get those seams out, you do this one side first. Sometimes I find that if you take a pen, it helps you push in that bottom a little bit so that you could line it up. Okay, so then I'm going to iron that down. So I'm going to flatten this whole thing. And I'm a little out over here, so I want to play around with that a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to just put some clips in here so it doesn't move on me. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm just going to top stitch all the way around. Now, when I do that, I'm going to probably pull my elastic to the front so that I can control where I move it as I stitch it. Because if I left it on the back, I can't see where it is, and this could possibly move over. So I'm just going to bring it to the front. And then I'm just going to move it out as I stitch around. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I top stitched all the way around, and here is our little pencil pouch. How cute is this? And you can always do like 2 different fabrics if you wanted to do the front different than the back. You could always do that. Here's a pen. I'll put that in here. And we have a notebook over here. I'll put that around this. Center it if you want. And there we have it. Fits perfectly in here. Looks good. Now, I did try to get it onto a larger book. Like this is my day planner for the new year, and it did not fit on there. So if you, this is a 8.5 by 11. So if you wanted to go anything bigger than a composition book, I would say maybe add another inch or so to the elastic. And that is our pencil pouch. This was such an easy thing to whip up. It's so cute. Kids will love it for their school books. I personally would love it because there's nowhere to put a pen on this. So I'm going to actually make another one, make that elastic bigger and put it on my day planner. I also have some copybooks where the pens don't fit in. So I'm going to use it for that. So cute little project, cute little gift. Okay, so for our next little stocking stuffer, we're going to be doing this little gift card holder or credit. You could put a credit card in it too. And I put this little snap on it. Look how cute that is. So for this, what we're going to need is, we're going to need 2 pieces of fabric, 5 by 8. So 2 pieces of fabric, 5 by 8. We're going to need a piece of interfacing that's a 1/2 inch smaller all around. So it'll be 4.5 by 7.5. And then we're going to need our little snaps, which I bought this kit from Amazon. These are the cam snaps. And it comes with all these snaps and all these colors and the tool to push them on, and then a little awl to make your hole. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our background fabric, we're going to lay that face down, we're going to take our interfacing, and with the bumpy side down on the wrong side of the fabric, so glue side to the back side of the lining. We're going to just line that up, and we're going to iron that down. So I'm just going to try to get an even amount all around. And then I'm just going to lay my iron on it just to activate that glue. Make sure it's down really well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put right sides together. We're going to take our outer fabric and our lining, and we're going to line them up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ruler and my pen. And first thing I'm going to do is to fold this in half to get my center. I'm going to make a mark. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down 1 inch, and I'm going to make another, just a little dot there. And then down 1 inch again on this side, and a little dot there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to put it on the middle where I drew that dot or line or whatever, and then I'm going to line it up with the dot over here. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a line. Now I'm going to go to the other side, put my ruler right in that middle and right to that dot. And sometimes you got to play around with it because you move one end and the other end moves. So there we go. And then I'm going to draw a line. Okay. So now what I want to do is I'm just going to put a few clips in this because we're going to cut that. And once I cut it, I don't want this to move. So I'm just going to grab a few clips. I'm going to clip this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let me move this one out of the way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to line it up on that line. I'm going to take my rotary cutter and I'm going to cut. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same with the other side. Okay. Okay, so now I have that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around, and I'm going to leave about 2 or 3 inches to turn that out. So I'm going to put a mark here, and I'll go about 2.5 inches. Put a mark here. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to back stitch, go all the way around, following my curves, and coming down and back stitching here. 1/4 inch all the way around, leaving this opening. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I sewed all the way around, back stitching where I stopped and I started. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn that right side out. I'll pop those corners out as I go. Okay, so now I want to make sure that all my corners are out. So I'm just going to grab my pointer here. And I like to run it along the seam too to make sure that that's out also. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to give that a press. Go from this side so I can see it. Okay, we're going to make sure we are lined up. Make sure all our seams are out. And then we're going to also fold in our opening. Grab that thread. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is, there's our front. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold up our bottom. And you know what? I have a little, I want to poke that corner out. I'm going to make sure all those corners are out. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold our bottom up. And I folded mine up about 2.5. So I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to come up about 2.5. That looks perfect. Okay. And I'm just going to press that so it stays. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the top down. Now, you don't want to really fold the top like on top of this, your bottom piece, because it won't lay right. You want to give it a little bit of room. So maybe just 1/4 inch will do. So I'm just going to look at that, because you just want to make sure you have enough room for that to fold nicely. And I'm going to press that. Okay. So see, I have a little bit of room in there for when I fold it over. So now what we want to do is we want to take it to this sewing machine and we want to top stitch all the way around. And I'm just going to put a clip on each side just so it stays. Actually, I'm probably going to put 2 clips just so it stays in line for when I sew that. So now I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to top stitch all around it. And I'm probably going to change my thread to black since I have a black outer fabric. And that's what I did on this one. So I did black so you can't really see it, but on the inside, you just see this little hint of black here. And I think that actually looks nice. So I'm going to take that to the sewing machine, top stitch all the way around, and I'll be right back. So now our little gift card holder is done. It's all top stitched all the way around. There's the back of it. So cute. Now what we want to do is put our snap on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little cam snaps and I'm going to do the red again like I did on the other one. So what you need is you need these. It has this type that has a little point to it. We need 2 of them. And then we need 1 female and 1 male. So that's those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, now for this one, I did about 3/4 inch up from that point. So I'm just going to take my ruler, I'm going to put it right in where the point is. Put my 3/4 inch right there. And I'm lined up here. And I'm just going to put my awl right there. I'm not going to poke it through yet. So I want to make sure that it looks good to me. Okay, so I've got it right there. That looks centered to me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this and I'm going to poke it through like that. And then I'm going to take my snap on the outside, going through, let me find my hole, going through to the inside. Okay, so outside going through to the inside. Then I'm going to take it, it doesn't matter, you can take either one, male or female, and I'm going to put that on top of here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers, and there's this black part that's rounded and it fits right in here. And then this will fit on, I don't know if you can see that right, will fit right on top of there. And you just give it a good squeeze. And what that does is it takes that point and it sort of smushes it down. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now this was a little difficult for me. If you're on a light fabric, all you have to do is just push this down and it makes a mark. And I don't know if you can see it. I can see it right here. And then all I did was find the, took my awl, found the center of that. And then poked that through. Just don't poke yourself. So you can see it went all the way through. And then I took that out, put this on the inside. Sorry, I need to see what I'm doing. So I need to bring it close to me. Okay, so now it's poking through. And then I'm going to put the opposite, oops, the opposite, this is the male part, on top of there. And then I want to make sure that that's going to line up before I press that down. And it does. So now I'm going to do the same thing as I did for the other one. I'm going to take this black piece, put it right on top of that rounded piece. Make sure that this piece is underneath there and give it a good squeeze. And I'm sorry if this is hard to see. And that's it. And it's on there. And now we just snap it shut. Lined up perfectly too. So that's it. There is our little gift card holder. And you can put a gift card in here, put it in someone's stocking. You could, this is really cute if you're giving, like if you're at work, go to work and you are giving it a gift card out to any coworkers or anything. This is such a cute presentation. You could always put it in like a little gift bag. Or if you want to make it, in any other fabrics, for birthdays or whatever, you can do that. It's really versatile. So many things you can do with it. So that is our little gift card holder. And that was so easy to make. Okay, so we're going to make our little chapstick holder. And this is what it looks like. And I'm going to put a little D-ring with a lobster claw on that. I didn't have any when I made this, so but I do now. So the first thing we're going to need is a strip that is 2.5 inches wide by 15. Then we're going to need a piece of interfacing, which is again is 2.5 inches wide, but 7.5. So it's going to be half of our strip. Then we're going to need a piece of fabric that is 2 inches by 2.5 to make our tab, and then our little lobster claw clip. So now the first thing we're going to do is make our tab. So we're going to take our tab, we're going to fold this in half, and we're going to iron that. I'm going to use my little mat here. This does not go through to my cutting mat. It is actually a mat from my Cricut. And honestly, I don't know what wizardry they use, but this thing is made for high heat and it does not go through to my cutting mat. So I really love it. So then we're going to, so we folded that in half. Sorry, I was talking. And then we're going to take each side and we're going to fold that in half to the center. And we're not going to go directly to the center where our fabrics touch because we don't want them to kink inside. And then we're going to fold that in half. So that's our little tab. And then we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to top stitch on each side so that it looks like this. And I already made one ahead of time. So this is our little tab. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our long strip, turn that over, so face side down. We're going to take our interfacing and with the bumpy side, because that's the glue side, down on our wrong side. So wrong, sort of wrong sides together, I guess. And we're going to iron that. So I'm going to line this up carefully. And I'm just going to press that first because I want to get that glue to adhere. And then I can move it around a little to make sure that that is adhered. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, and with right sides together, we are going to fold this in half. And you can just finger press this at the bottom if you want for now. Then we're going to take our little tab and our clip, and we're going to put that, insert that in there, fold that in half, and we're going to place that inside of our fabric here. And if you want to get an exact middle, we can fold this in half and just pinch that together to find our halfway point. We're going to take this and we're going to lay that right on our halfway point there, right in the middle. And I'm going to bring it a little above just to make sure that I catch all those layers. And then we're going to line this up again with our top piece. I'm going to grab a couple clips and I'm going to make sure I clip that, making sure that we are matched up. Okay, so now I'm going to put a few clips around, and what we're going to do is we are going to sew all the way around, leaving a 2.5 inch gap here so that we can turn it inside out. So first I'm going to put a few clips in here. Making sure we line up our edges. If you want to put, as many clips as you want, feel free. And then I'm going to grab my pen and I'm just going to mark like a 2 inch for an opening. And then I'm going to grab a clip and put it right there. This one should be fine. So I'm going to back stitch where I start. I'm going to start here, go all the way around and stop here and back stitch again. And I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, so we have that all sewn down, and I back stitched where I stopped and started. And then I also back stitched where that tab is. I forgot to mention that. Just back stitch over that a couple times to reinforce that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this inside out. Just grab my scissors here and cut a few of these. There we go. So we're going to turn this inside out. And you want to pop out those corners as you get to them. I'm just going to use my little point turner here. And go to the other side. Pop those out. And there we have it. So far, we have our little clip on. And I'm just going to iron this down real quick, making sure that I am folding in my opening. Okay, it looks like I need to push this out a little. Okay, that looks a little straighter. All right, so now what we want to do is we're not going to worry about closing that opening up because we're going to do that at the very end. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold this up about 3 inches. So you can measure it if you want. I'm just going to measure real quick. Go up a little bit more. Okay. And I'm just going to put a clip on each side to hold this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to actually top stitch all the way around. That'll also enclose that opening. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. So there we have it. It is all top stitched all the way around. There's the back of it. We got a little pocket here, and we're going to put our lip balm in it. These are the cutest little stocking stuffers. We got a little lobster claw on there so that you can hook it onto your bag, your pocketbook, your bag. The kids can put it on their backpacks. And who doesn't need a chapstick holder, especially in the winter time? These are so cute, so easy to make. That didn't take us no time at all. Great stocking stuffers. You can make it in any fabric you want. And you can use your scraps if you got a 15-inch scrap by 2.5. Perfect. So that is our little chapstick holder. Okay, so now we're going to do our zippered pencil pouch. Now we did the pencil pouch like this, where you just slip the pens in and then has the elastic on the back. But now we're going to do one that actually zippers. And this is really nice too. And also has the elastic on the back. So let me show you how we're going to make that. Now the one thing I will say is I used the number 5 zippers. I think these are from Amazon, the zipper by the yard. I found that those were a little thick right here when we folded that over. So you can use it if that doesn't bother you, or I would go a little smaller. Like, I don't know what size this is, maybe number 3. It didn't have the tag that it had on here did not have a measurement. So I'm going to use that one. Now, what we need for this is 2 pieces of fabric, 4 inches by 8 inches. We need an outside and an inner, so outside and lining. Then we need our zipper, and I would say to use at least a 10-inch. And I'll show you why when we're constructing this. You're going to need a little extra room. This is a 15-inch, but it's all I had, so we're going to go with it. And then we have a piece of elastic. Now, when we made this pouch, I realized that this did not fit on my 8.5 by 11 day planner. So it calls for an 8-inch piece of elastic, the same as your fabric, but I'm using a 12-inch because I want to fit it on my bigger books. So, but you can use whatever size you want. I wouldn't go less than 8, of course. And that's all we need. So let's put this together. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our outer fabric and lay that face side up. We're going to take our zipper and lay that face side down. And we're going to line that up. And I'm just going to center mine. So we're going to line that up with our edge and we're going to clip it. Just lining that up. And now what we want to do is we want to take our lining fabric and put that face side down. So right sides together. And we're going to line that up with our outer fabric. So we're going to line these up and clip them together also. Okay, so making sure that we are straight, the bottom and our sides. And now we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to sew that zipper down. Now, most of the time I use my stitch in the ditch foot because that works perfectly fine for me. But today I'm going to show you how to use a zipper foot. So I'm going to take you to the machine and I'm going to show you how to stitch the zipper with a zipper foot. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to sew the zipper on with a zipper foot. And I know I've used my stitch in the ditch foot in the past, and I've shown that. So now I want to show you how I do it with my zipper foot, especially for my beginners who are just starting out and they want to do the zipper foot, because it's just as easy. On the zipper foot, you'll have sides, a left side and a right side. Now I've seen where some zipper foots have three um, bars where you could put your where you can attach it to your sewing machine. Mine only has two, left or right. And then also on the foot itself, and I'm not sure you can see this, there's like an indentation right here where the zipper runs right along here and then along your foot. And that's where you would line it up with your zipper. So I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to, and when you turn your machine on, wherever your foot is, should be the correct position for this. So I'm going to line this up with my zipper, and I have the teeth. I can feel the teeth are right next to that foot. And it's going to run right along this foot right here, and the teeth are going to sit underneath that notch that I showed you. So I'm going to put my foot down. I have that down. And I'm just going to start sewing. I'm going to start back a little. Okay. And then I'm just going to sew straight down. And you want to just make sure that it stays underneath that notch. So now when I open this up, we go to the front, and there's our zipper. So that's using the zipper foot. Okay, so we now have that all sewn down, and there's our zipper. And what we're going to do is we're just going to iron this back. We want to make sure that our edges meet at the bottom and the sides. I'm going to iron that down. And if you're using a nylon zipper, you should have no problem with ironing over your zipper. And now what we want to do is we want to take this to the machine, and we're going to top stitch this straight down. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have that top stitch down now, and this is what it looks like. It's just a little top stitch right across. And now what we want to do is we want to connect our fabrics to the other side of the zipper. So how I do this is, and this is where the long zipper comes in at. I'm just going to unzip this, and because we still have our metal tabs on, I can bring this all the way to the end and it won't fall off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top fabric, I'm going to line this up with my sides, make sure I'm straight, and I'm going to now line up my zipper. So just make sure your zipper is straight. And what I usually do is I just take this side first. And I'm going to clip that. Okay, so now we have that straight in there. So now I'm just going to line this up. Okay, so now we have that on there. And if we bring this together, you can tell that we are straight on our fabric. So now what we want to do is we want to take the back and we want to do the same thing. Just flip that up, and we're going to line that up with our top fabric and our zipper top. And we're going to clip that. Okay, so now I'm just going to check just to make sure that we are lined up on our edges and we are perfectly straight. Just want to fix this real quick. Okay. And now what we want to do is we want to take our zipper foot again and just sew straight down. I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we have that all top stitched, both sides. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our little pouch, close it up a little bit, not all the way, and we're going to take our elastic and we're going to center it in that zipper on each end. So I'm just going to lay it on here. Now this part is the easier one because it's closed. And I'm just going to put a clip on there. Okay, now this side is open a little. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you hold that together. Now you can also take it to the machine and just stitch right across here so that it stays closed. But I'm just going to pinch it here. I'm going to lay this on here. Now again, my elastic is bigger than it calls for. I'm just going to use one of my bigger clips here. And I'm going to bring this out just a little to make sure I catch it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay that down. And because I'm only sewing on the ends, it's not going to bother me if I put a big clip there just to hold it. So now what you want to do is you want to go to the machine. You want to sew on each end just about 1/8 because we're going to turn this wrong side out and we're going to sew that 1/4 inch and it's going to catch the 1/8 inch that we sew here. And you want to make sure that you back stitch right where this elastic is. So go over it, go back, and then continue on. So I'm going to take that to the machine. I'm going to sew that down and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we have that sewn down about 1/8 of an inch on each side. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to first cut off the remaining zipper. So I'm just going to really just take my rotary cutter and just cut that off. Okay, so we don't need that. And again, you could have used a 10-inch zipper if you wanted to, but I had that, so that's what I used. So now what we want to do is we want to open this up and we want to flip this inside out so that our lining is now going to be on the outside. Okay, and then our zipper, excuse me, our elastic is going to be on the inside for right now. So what we want to do is we want to take that to the machine and we want to just sew across, holding that together, sew across about 1/4 of an inch right here. Now this you can close a little bit just so it stays for you. And make sure those corners are popped out. I could see that I need to do that for mine right here. Okay. I'm going to make sure that that is straight. And I'm just going to put a clip there just to hold that down. You could iron this if you want, but I'm going to do that at the end. So we're just going to sew 1/4 inch on both sides. Okay, so now I have that stitched down on both ends. And what we want to do now is to turn this right side out. And we want to poke out those corners. And that finishes our inside and our outside. Pop that out. And then we can zip that up. You can iron this down, but do not iron your elastic or you'll melt it. So I'm just going to the iron right up to the edge there. Making sure that I don't mount my elastic. I'm going to open this zipper up a little bit so I can get this end here right up to the end though. Okay. And there is our little zipper pouch. How cute is that? I really love this. And now fits on my day planner with no problems. And you can put actually a couple different pens in here. You can put a pen, you can put a highlighter if you need it. You can actually put 2 pens. How cute is that? So this was another cute little stocking stuffer. I think a lot of people that, you know, kids in school, college, even myself, if you have journals you like to write in but don't have pen holders for it, this is the perfect little gift. Great stocking stuffer and not hard to make at all. So 2 different pencil pouches, both really cute, both have great uses, and I love them both. So you can make them both or either one, but I think they're great stocking stuffers. Really cute too, and very easy. So I hope you enjoyed these projects. They're simple, practical, very easy to make, very beginner friendly. And to be honest, I like them so much that I think some of them are going to be in my stocking. So if you enjoyed this, I hope you give it a thumbs up. If you're new, I hope you subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you know when my next video comes out. Until I see you the next time, happy sewing and sew something happy.